Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Queen Sugar. So today I have a quick reading that talks about the current energy of your connection, your twin flame journey, or your soulmate connection, and then the potential next phase, what's coming up next for that connection. So take a moment to kind of just clear your head, clear your energy, and just kind of refocus and allow the energy of your higher self and your person's higher self to guide you to the pile that best represents the messages that they have for you regarding your connection. So the first pile is past life. The second pile is the butterflies card. And then the third pile is the very soon card. So once you have selected your pile or piles, feel free to click the timestamp below to watch your portion of the video. As always, I appreciate the love and the support, and I hope you all enjoy your reading. Let's get started. Alrighty, this will be for those that pick pile number 1, which is the past life card. And this card says there may be a past life connection or unfinished business with this person. So I'm going to put this up on the side, and we'll get started with the cards. So we have your love messages. We'll do these at the very end. And then we have some tarot and some oracle cards. So for the tarot cards, we have the 8 of Pentacles, the 2 of Wands, the 10 of Pentacles, and then the High Priestess. And then for your oracle cards, we'll go through those next. So let's start off with the tarot cards here. So in terms of, more information about this connection, the next phase of it. So let's start off with the energy that we currently have. So there definitely has been energy of just focusing on moving past the speed bumps, moving past the hurdles. There's also been energy on just kind of focusing on stuff like individually, your well-being, focusing on your career, focusing on your mental health, physical health, those different things. And it's definitely something that may have caused a little detachment or, how do I word this? Withdrawn in a sense, or some type of distance with the connection, right? And the idea is that on the physical sense, that's what it has caused, or that's what it looks like. But in a spiritual sense, we have that 10 of Pentacles energy. But it's all about regrounding ourselves, figuring out what areas we have to work on right now before coming together in full union, right? And it's not a bad thing. A lot of times, we all go through those moments where it's just like we really want to be with the person, or we miss them, we miss the connection, the physical connection, but spiritually we know like we're connected to them. We get all the synchronicities, we get all the, the messages, the telepathic messages, and then the dreams and all of that. But it's like I want it in the physical too. And so I feel like what they're saying here is that that's where the energy is for the both of you are at times, where it's like, okay, you're focusing on your personal lives or your individual lives, and there's this energy of like missing each other, longing each other. And maybe some of you are still, in a relationship with them or still in communication with them, but it's like it's sporadic, it's not consistent, right? But it doesn't change the dynamic of the love that you all share for each other, or like the desire and the long-term goals that you all have for this connection and want for this connection. And so with the 10 of Pentacles and the High Priestess here, it shows me that you're all are getting closer to getting to the final checkpoint where it's like, okay, we've done the healing work, we got our careers together, or our finances in line, we are working on our physical selves, like all of these different things. And so now we're able to kind of coexist and really spend more time together and spend quality time together, to where we can build something that's going to last and sustain, right? Because anybody can get in a relationship, you can get in a relationship with anybody, but it's the idea is like you want to get in a relationship with someone that is going to last long term, and it's a healthy relationship. Of course, we're always going to be healing and growing, so nothing is perfect, but the idea is that at least when you enter this union together, there's less hiccups and less bumps in the roads that you all have to worry about moving forward. So now I think it's interesting too how like you have the 8 of Pentacles here, then it's like the 2, then it's the 10, and like in order to get to 10 from 8, you have to have two more. So it's like this energy of like there's this union of you coming within to yourself, like, your higher self, but also them doing that for themselves as well too. And then that's what allows you all to come together. So it definitely feels like, you all are in this space where a lot of movement has happened, a lot of growth has happened. And so you're going to start to see the physical changes in a beautiful sense of, like, union or alignment happening more and more with you too. All right, let's get into your oracle cards. So we have, look at that, yin yang, meet your spiritual other half. You both reflect the innermost parts of each other emotionally, spiritually, and you are a reflection of this person as they are of you. And so I think that's another reason why too, that's why they were saying, both of you are doing this stuff, like doing this work, figuring out things, and that's what's going to allow you all to come together. Notice how when I made this card, I intentionally put, 5 pentacles on both sides, right? Because both of them have a lot of fulfillment within their self, their soul, their mental, their physical, financially, all that. And then when they come together, it's even more fulfilled, right? It's something that's grounded and solid. And so the idea is that as you all are pouring into your own selves, when you come together, it's even stronger, it's even better, because you're matching each other's energy and you balance each other out. Next is words of affirmation. Never be afraid to express your true feelings with the one you love. Seize the opportunity to let someone know that they are missed or loved. This may be yours or your person's love language. And so the idea here is just saying, basically saying that I think when you all come together, like full union, a lot of words of affirmations will be happening in a sense of, I missed you so much. I love you so much. I've always thought about you all, or, even if you are with the person now, it's like you're going to start to hear more of these loving words. And it's because also too, while doing a lot of clearing work and healing and just figuring out different things in your life, you feel safe to share and express your love. Oftentimes we can feel so deeply about a person, but we feel so afraid because of, past life issues, or even current, issues we may experience as a child or as an adolescent or even as an adult. And so that scars us and traumatizes us. So then we're like, no, I'm not going to express myself. I'm not going to say anything about how I feel. But in reality, you really do feel a lot. Next we have here is look at that power couple. You two are about to take over the world. There's so much great work to be done in the stories to create with this person. You both are breaking generational cycles. And so that goes with the Eight of Pentacles card, how I talked about. You both are really working hard right now to better yourselves individually, right? And it's not saying you can't do that with a person in your life, but sometimes there's some work that we have to do by ourselves, because that's going to get our full attention, right? We don't have a distraction, or we don't have anything that's going to kind of pull us away from it. And so this is the best time actually for you all to be doing this work, because when you come together, a lot of things have been healed, a lot of things have been broken in terms of the generational cycles, and you're able to fully prosper and, just enjoy your 10 of Pentacles. And then we have the pursuit. To pursue love means to act with intention and purpose. It means to appreciate the generous acts of those that we desire and that desire us. And I feel like with this card coming out as the last oracle card, is showing that once all of this, is done and a lot of things have worked out, both of you are able to pursue each other without having to worry about a lot of different things that you may have had to worry about in the past. So let's say, you were dating each other, and both of you were struggling financially, just trying to figure out how to make ends meet, this, that, and the third, right? And then it caused a lot of hiccups. It caused a lot of anger and frustration or resentment. Like, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. And it's like, oh, I'm working overtime, or I'm doing all this other stuff. And it's just like, now by you both working on your finances and your career and everything else, it's like you have the ability now to see each other. You have the availability to be around each other and do things with one another. And of course, people are going to say like, oh, it's not about the money, it's just about the time. But if someone needs to make ends meet, a lot of their time is probably going to be connected to their job or to working or whatever other things they have to do to get the money. So it's kind of like it was a stressor to both of you at some point. And now that a lot of things are being resolved and being healed, you're able to focus on each other a little bit more, and also still attract more money, still do well financially, because there's that balance with each other. Okay. So just just know there's a lot of great shifts and movements coming towards you in this connection. And honestly, like, the next phase for you all is just union, really, because you're doing a lot of this work now. And even though it might suck that, let's say, there's some distance or you're not in communication right now, that's okay, because it's leading to the union. It's leading to the, I want to say majority of the healing, but it's just, there's less work that you have to do now when you all come together, which is something to be excited and happy about, because then you don't have to worry about doing a lot of the stuff that could have been resolved earlier on, right? And of course, you're going to still be learning and healing stuff as you get together, because you're going to always learn something new about yourself or know something about your person. But the idea is that the heavy lifting will be done now. So let us get into your love notes and see what messages your person has for you. So we have the Sparkles of Love. So our first card is, you are the greatest love that I've ever known. I'm so attracted to you. You are the only one that catches my eye. I have to stop running away when I am hurting. So this could be something both of you may have worked on, or maybe just that person has worked on. But sometimes when we are hurting, we just shut down. You know, we might go ghost. We might just disappear from the world. We act like it doesn't bother us. But in reality, we have to learn how to process our emotions and understand them. And, you know, talk about them, whether it's just with ourselves or with our partner. I wish that I could give you the one thing in life that you always wanted. So there might be something in the past that you wanted, and maybe they couldn't afford it, or maybe they felt like they couldn't give it to you at that moment because they didn't feel good about themselves. But now they are, you know, in a space where they're able to really feel like they can provide and be there for you. Your love feels like a warm hug to the heart. I love that. And then finally, my love for you will never end, to infinity and beyond. See? Like, regardless of how things have been in the physical, their love for you has never died. Their love for you has never stopped. It's growing, if anything, you know? And so, with that being said, I think it's really important to be mindful of that. Sometimes the physical doesn't reflect the spiritual aspects of how connection, you know, is at the moment. And sometimes the physical doesn't reflect the spiritual wholeness that we might experience. But it's like it's working its way to that point. It's getting there. It's going to trickle down at some point. So sometimes we expect things to just be like instant, and sometimes it takes time, and sometimes there are moments where it can be instant. But the idea is that the love has always been there. The attraction has always been there. So there's nothing for you to worry about, and just, you know, get to this space where you are excited for your union and the coming together aspect of it. I love too how I'm looking at this card and I'm looking at that card, and it's kind of like I just get this energy of, like, you know, you all just growing up and healing your inner childs and be able to connect with your higher selves, and your higher selves are like proud. So it's like both of your inner childs and your higher selves are like proud of what work you all are doing now, which is good. Okay, so I hope this all resonated with you all and you enjoyed your reading. Yeah, I'm really excited for this pile and this connection. So kudos to you all. So if you enjoyed the reading, feel free to thumbs up the video, check out other videos on my channel, and leave a comment below. I wish you all the best. Alrighty, this will be for pile number 2. For those that selected the butterflies card, and this says, enjoy the overwhelming feeling or overwhelming excitement and bliss of the new and old love. Alrighty, so let's put this to the side. Alrighty, this will be for those that selected pile number 2. So your card is butterflies. Enjoy the overwhelming excitement and bliss of new and old or old love. Alrighty, let's put that to the side, and then we'll get started with your reading. So we're going to go through your love note cards at the very end. So I'll put those to the side at the bottom, and then we'll go over your tarot and your oracle cards. So let's start off with the tarot cards. So tarot, we have the 9 of Swords. We have the Page of Cups. We have the 6 of Swords. And then we have the 4 of Swords. All right, so we got a lot of swords cards here. It's a lot of people that pick this pile. Either you or your person, or both of you, might be in your head a lot recently or lately when it comes to this connection. So we're going to kind of, go through everything and just get a feel for like the current energy, and then also like the next phase of your connection with your person. So let's start off with the Nine of Swords. So obviously the Nine of Swords talks about anxiety. It talks about overthinking. It talks about our fears. It talks about, just literally things just like piling up in our brain and our mind over and over again, causing, late nights or nights where we can't even sleep because we're thinking about everything over and over again. But also the Nine of Swords talks about, the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Even if we can't see it in the moment, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right? There will be a moment where we can break free and feel happy again, feel at peace again, right? And so I feel like what they're saying here, just in terms of like, that first card coming out, is that a lot of you are in that space or have been in that space and wondering like, when am I going to be in union with this person? When am I going to see this person again? When are we going to talk? When are we going to reconcile? And the idea is that it comes with time, right? But stressing about it, worrying about it doesn't make it come any faster. So the idea is like finding things to, kind of take your mind off of it, to relax you. But also too, I feel that it's important to understand any triggers that you might have when it comes to the connection. So for example, let's say, you two are dating each other and you text them, they don't text you back for a day or whatever, and you just literally freak out, you flip out, you go into this mode, this zone where you're just like, oh my gosh, this is happening all over again. I knew this was too good to be true. Like you kind of just freak out and just go through this rabbit hole. Now the idea of that is just like, understanding, okay, why does this trigger me so much? Oh, because in the past two connections or relationships I was in, that happened all the time and it hurt me. This, that, and the third. It made me feel like I was abandoned. It made me feel like X, Y, and Z. So really getting into the nitty gritty of it, because it's not that person not responding to you is making you feel sad and making you feel nervous. It's deeper than that, right? That's the action, but what is the cause of it, right? Where does it come from, right? Because I'm sure there are people, that may have texted you that you have never responded back to, or took forever to respond back to, and you didn't think anything of it. So it's like there's something that triggers you and you have to think about it. Same thing for that person. Like if there's something you do that might trigger them that you might not even be aware of, right? And so with that being said, as we really get to the core of a lot of issues and a lot of triggers, we're able to address them in different ways and handle situations a lot differently, right? So if it's an abandonment issue type of thing, understanding where that abandonment issue comes from, what do you feel? Do you still feel that way when it comes to certain people? Is it something that that you can work through right now, or is it something that you have to go to therapy for, or like really do a lot of deep healing work for? The idea is that you have to really get to the root of a lot of the things, if you haven't already, to understand where it comes from. That way you can be more at peace if that person doesn't respond to you until 2 hours later from your message, without you freaking out or thinking of the worst, right? Because a lot of people have anxiety due to some trauma or some type of issue that they had growing up. And so when we experience things that are very similar to that trauma, or like that can trigger it, we automatically go through that same thought process, which is not always the best, because it might not even be that same type of situation. And then also with the Page of Cups, like, basically connecting with the Nine of Swords, is like the Page of Cups here gives me the energy of like the inner child, right? That inner voice, and just really coming to this space of connecting with the inner child and understanding what things does that person need to heal from, right? Now, in terms of the connection and how things are looking in terms of moving forward, and like the next phase for you all, it definitely seems like some of you are either have already done that work and you're moving out of it to where you're at peace, and that allows you all to come together smoothly, and some of you are just realizing that that is something that you have to work through, and then that's going to be a period where you kind of go within. You have conversations with yourself. You have conversations maybe with people that you need to have conversations with that might have been the ones that have, like, contribute to it. But also too, sometimes you don't have to have those conversations. You don't have to have those type of conversations to heal, I will say, because a lot of times people are not accountable for their actions or things that they have done. So it's like, if you're waiting for someone to be accountable, you could be setting yourself up for a letdown, because that might not happen. But if you can heal from it on your own and really just understand it and accept it for what it was, and just, thank yourself for doing well with what they had to experience during that time, you can move forward, right? And of course that takes time for everybody, but that's something to just be mindful of. But I do see that the person that you're in this connection with is working through that stuff too, which could probably explain why there has been a lot of distance with you at times, or why there might be moments where you're all good on the same page, and then it's like, boom, there's a shakeup, and then it's like that distance again, right? I'm sure we all have experienced it at some point, where it's like things are going well, you think you're on the right track, and then boom, something happens, and it just like throws everything off once again. But it's not throwing it off. It's more so that something has been activated, something has been triggered. Therefore, this is resulting in, a period of like a break in a sense. Let's see what else I want to talk about with these cards here. Then we can get to your other ones. I would say too, this person looks at you as peace. Like, look at you as their peace in a sense. And it's not a bad thing. They look at you as someone that they can trust, that they can, chill with. And that's very understanding. That's very open and, forgiving. But also they have to learn that they got to find ways to, receive their own peace too. Outside of you, outside of, any, what do you call it? Like recreational drug uses, like, drugs or alcohol, or anything like that, because sometimes people rely on different, they become codependent basically. And so the idea that this person is working on not being codependent on you, and also making sure that they know how to troubleshoot their own issues as well. All right, so now let's get through the oracle cards. I love this. Peace of mind. We deal with enough stress in this world daily. However, this connection is a haven. You will be happy to know that you both can finally relax, love, and dream. I love that comes out right under the Nine of Swords. The anxiety, the doubt, the fear, all of that, and then it's like the peace of mind. So it's like, and I just said that, like, they look at you as their peace, and it's like both of you are each other's peace, but you also learn how to be the peace within your own self first, right? That's the priority, because it's like, if you don't have access to that person for a day, you can't say, oh my gosh, I don't have access to this person for a day, so I can't be at peace. It's like, no, I have to learn how to be at peace by myself first, and then they can add additional peace into my life with their energy, right? And so I feel like what this is saying is that a lot of the worries and anxieties, and just like the pain that you all have worked through, coming from your inner child, coming from family and generational cycles and stuff, you're finally pushing through it and moving forward and moving on from it and healing. Because remember, before the Four of Swords is the Three of Swords, which is the heartache, the pain. And it's like you're finally at peace, you're finally relaxed. And so because a lot of that healing has happened and spiritual healing has happened, both of you can have this peace of mind, but also you are each other's peace of mind, right? It's like you're each other's safe haven, in a sense of like, hey, the reason why I flip sometimes or freak out when you don't text me back is because of X, Y, and Z. And then that person is aware of it, and then they're like, okay, let me be mindful again. So if I'm busy, let me just text you like, hey, I'm busy, I can't talk to you right now, but I can talk to you later today or tomorrow or whatever. So you know that person is not ignoring you or abandoning you. They are just busy. They're occupied. Next, we have this divine flame. This person may be a twin flame or someone you have an intense soul connection with currently. The flames within your souls allow you both to explore this connection. So this is just double confirmation that, this is a twin flame soulmate connection. And if you're aware of twin flame connections, they definitely trigger you because they're teaching you lessons. I mean, any relationship you enter will teach you some type of lesson, but twin flame relationships are a little bit more intense, and they teach you a lot of deep soul lessons that only that person, I would say, can teach you sometimes, because they're just, I don't want to say like they trigger you in a way, but it's just like the things that you go through with that person will be unique compared to other people. And of course you might see different, how to word this, different versions of it with different folks, but with the twin it's a little bit more intense, it's a little bit more deep. And so that's why when you heal and break through a lot of that anxiety and that energy, you're able to prosper in other connections with people or with your twin, because you really learned the lessons and healed from it. We have Lover's Lane. This is a time when intimacy and sexual healing are needed and desired. Take the time to blow off some steam in the bedroom. So a lot of you all too will be able to connect with your person physically, intimately. And some of you might experience like a Kundalini awakening at some point too with your person if you haven't already. But the idea is that you feel safe to share that intimacy with one another. You feel safe to really explore each other's body and mind. And then finally, we have acts of service. Doing something for our partner that we know that they will love or need when they are overwhelmed makes it worth the while. Acts of service may be your or your person's love language. And so this idea that, taking care of each other as needed, but also taking care of yourself as well too. And so knowing that sometimes people need their space to process things. So, we have people who want to talk about things immediately, and you have people that say like, hey, I gotta actually let this stuff marinate, and then I can talk about it. So knowing when to act on things and knowing when to take a step back, and that being your action, right? And so just in terms of like what is next for your connection, like where is this connection headed next, and the next phase of it is definitely giving you the vibe of like, you two in this space of healing, and you're able to start communicating better and work towards getting closer to union. So it's like the next phase is like you all dating each other on a better level, in the sense of there's better communication, there's more understanding, there's progress in the way you all date each other and care about each other. It's very intentional, right? It doesn't feel or come off as selfish, like, oh, it's only about what I want. And not saying it was selfish in the beginning, but sometimes we can be so wrapped up in our own world that we don't think about what the other person might need or want in that moment as well too. But that comes from conversations as well, right? So it's like knowing each other's love languages, but also knowing each other's communication styles. So I feel like there's this kind of like a reset button for you all in your connection. Not saying you go back to the very, very beginning of the connection, but more so you're able to kind of like go into the next direction with better equipment, better tools, better resources than you were before, that you had before. So I do see a lot of good movement and shifts for you all, and a lot of healing too, a lot of healing for both of you. And that brings you closer together, because it's like, wow, like you had that happen to you too. I didn't know that. That was the same thing that happened to me when I was a kid. Like you start to connect more on a deeper level, because you understand each other's souls a lot more intensely. All right, so now let's get into your sparkles of love messages. So we have, you are enough, you will always be enough. So that idea of like, that could be something that some of you might be dealing with, where okay, they haven't responded to me, or they're not doing this right now. Am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? Am I handsome enough? Like, going down this rabbit hole, wondering like, are you enough? And it's like, no, you are always enough. It has nothing to do with you never not being enough. And a lot of people, we have to learn that at some point, because we go down that rabbit hole where it's like, okay, well, maybe, if I did this, they would have done this, or, things would have been this way instead versus X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, oh, we kind of like blame ourselves basically. And Spirit is saying like, no, don't blame yourself, because you already are enough. Oh, look at that. Will you marry me? Will you spend the rest of your life with me? So this person sees longevity with you. They see commitment with you. And I was going to say, I forgot to say this earlier, but the Page of Cups talks about proposal. It talks about commitment, asking for that commitment. So it's very interesting that card came out. Next is, I feel nothing but gratitude for you. So this person is very appreciative of you and grateful for you, right? I feel like they want to say like they appreciate your patience, but they appreciate your understanding. And your confidentiality is another word that I'm hearing them say. We have, I'm keeping an eye on you by watching your social media. So for some of you that might not be in contact with this person right now, or maybe it's very limited, this person keeps tabs on your social media. Like if you post something, they looking, even if they haven't responded to your message, they looking because they want to see what you're up to. Now, granted, if someone can check your social media, they can respond to a text message. But the idea is that they care about what you're doing and want to, know what you're up to. Oh my gosh, I literally just said that. Thank you for being patient with me. So yeah, this person is definitely grateful for you being patient with them. And then finally, I have to break these toxic habits and behaviors. So this is something that they're working through and that I'm sure you're working through as well too. And toxic behaviors and habits don't always have to be, abusive to another person. It can literally be like overthinking. Overthinking is it can be a toxic behavior at some point, because if you keep doing it to where you're making relationships and partnerships detrimental to, in a sense, to you and to the other person, that's toxic. Because it's like, if there's nothing for you to overthink and to worry about, why keep doing it? Because it becomes an obsession in a sense. That's when it becomes toxic, when it becomes an obsession, when you overthink. It's okay to overthink and kind of analyze things a little bit more, because some people naturally just do that. Like I can overthink, but I also know when to say like, okay, stop overthinking, leave it alone, and take a step back, versus like, let me keep being obsessed with it, because then it becomes problematic. Okay, so I hope that this reading was helpful, that it made sense, that you feel some clarity from it, that you feel the good energy and vibes of it. And I look forward to hearing like updates from folks about their connection and just their person and how things are going just in terms of their journey. So if you like the video, please thumbs up the video and leave a comment below, and check out other videos on my channel. As always, I love you all and I wish you all the best. Hey pal number 3, this will be for those that selected the very soon card, and your card reads, be clear about what you want, because within the blink of an eye it will be yours. Alrighty, so they're letting you know already something is evolving, changing for you very, very soon. So let's check your tarot cards, and then we'll go on to your oracle cards next, and then at the very end we'll do the love messages. So your first tarot card here is the Ten of Wands. The second tarot card is the Polaroid. This was a special card that I made. We have the Knight of Cups. And then finally, the King of Pentacles. Alrighty. So let's just kind of, get a feel for the connection, the next phase of this connection as well too. So I definitely get that with the Ten of Wands and the Polaroid being here, this shows me a lot of you that picked this pile. You're at the end of, I don't like calling it the separation phase, but you're at the end of that period where there's distance, there's detachment, or, no communication, right? And the Polaroid, when I made this card, it talks about, memories. It talks about recapturing the moments and reminiscing, reviewing them. And the Ten of Wands, it's often looked at as this card of like burdens, but it's also a card about being able to learn the lessons from those experiences, because each wand that she carries with her is something that is fruitful, that it is a lesson that is fruitful. It's something that she can learn from, that she can carry with her and bring with her in the future, so she no longer has to carry that type of weight again. And so I feel like what they're saying here is that currently you all are in the space where a lot of you have learned the lessons that you needed to learn, both you and your person, right? And that's not just, in the sense of like, oh, I had to learn how to express myself more. Like that could be a lesson, but it's like deeper than that. It's like, okay, I had to learn that there are certain triggers that I've had experienced as a child or I experienced as an adolescent, and I carry that weight, that trauma, that burden with me all the time in different relationships, different connections with people, and that adds more weight onto that person. So it's kind of like, imagine if you were in a relationship before and that person cheated on you, and then you get into another relationship and that person maybe did the same thing but differently, right? So then when you meet this person, they have done nothing wrong. They haven't done anything that makes it seem like they cheated on you. But in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm waiting for that to happen. So you're putting that burden on that person for them to do something like that, even though that's not their intention, even though that's not what they're doing currently. And so when you heal from things of that nature, then you're able to fully enjoy the relationship for what it is and not put more pressure on a person, right? So it's kind of like there are times where there are people who expect their partner to heal them and to fix the issues that they deal with. And that's not the case. It's nobody's responsibility to heal you but yourself. It's nobody's responsibility to make you happy but yourself. So the idea is like both of you realize that, hey, if I want to see change in my life, I have to be that change first. I have to incorporate that change into my life. I cannot wait for somebody to quote unquote be this change, because that's not going to work, right? In the sense of, if you don't do the work internally, you cannot expect a lot of changes in the external world, right? You might see it, but it doesn't mean it's going to last. It's kind of like someone winning the lottery, but they have poor financial, skill sets, or they lack a lot of financial wisdom, right? So they can have $100 million, but does that mean they're going to keep it for a long time? Maybe not, because if they don't know how to save, they don't know how to, budget and do all the different things, it's not going to last long because they haven't done the work to make sure that they know how to manage it. So the idea is that both of you are learning how to manage yourself better and how to work through your own healing and your own experiences, so that way you can show up as a better person when you're in this connection with this person and other people in general in life, right? So that's one of the big things that I pick up here. And I love that because it shows a lot of clearing. And I love this King of Pentacles. And I intentionally made him have a sage, because he was clearing out things. The King of Pentacles is someone that's very grounded. He puts the time and the work in to be solid. And so it's this energy of like, I'm clearing out anything that does not serve me anymore. I am releasing, old patterns, old behaviors, mindsets that don't benefit me anymore. I'm letting that ish go because it was holding me back, and I'm no longer in that space where I'm going to allow things to hold me back anymore. And so that's the beauty of that card, is being able to recognize that and then also put in the work to be better, right? To be more mature, to be more solid, to be able to see things through the end and not be so quick to jeopardize and not be so quick to self-sabotage. That's something that a lot of you might be working on too, releasing that need to self-sabotage and find something wrong in anything, not even just a relationship, but just like any single thing that goes right in your life, and finding a problem with it or waiting for a problem to happen, right? So that's a huge improvement that I see here. And then the Knight of Cups is, flirty and fun, confident, sexy, and just like, inviting in a sense, where the Knight of Cups is someone that has more to offer than, how do I word this, the traditional person, because they come from a place of following their heart. They come from a place of being, tactful, being sensitive, being caring, being gentle, being authentic, being warm, right? And so that's what's allowing this connection to move into that direction where it is fulfilling. It is, how do I word it? Worth the risk. It's worth the taking the chance, right? It's worth the investment, basically. All right, let's get into your oracle cards now. So we have money and finance. Money is among the top 5 things that couples fight over or individuals stress about. Unresolved financial matters may be affecting this relationship. It's funny how I talked about like the lottery example. If someone doesn't know how to manage their money well, then it's like it might not last. So that could have been an issue that one of you or both of you are experiencing, like better money management skills. I think money and love are tied together in a sense of, if you have a lot of money and you keep giving it away, but you're never doing anything to make sure that you're replenishing it, you're going to not have a lot left, and it's going to be gone. Same thing with love. If you keep giving your love away but not pouring love back into yourself, there's going to be a lack of self-love. So the idea of like finding that balance here. So some of you may have been great, lovers, people who love well, but maybe have to be better when it comes to money. Or some of you might be great with money, like, oh, I know how to focus on my money and I know how to focus on my bag, the career, but you don't put yourself out there romantically, right? Or like that person may have been that way, but the idea is like finding that balance is important. Next is chemistry. There is undeniable chemistry between you and this person. Are you willing to explore it? So having fun, not being afraid to try it out and do something, right? Pleasure. Taking the time to please ourselves or our partner can be what is needed to release some stress. Use this time to enjoy the pleasures of romance. So there's definitely this energy of like you two needing to connect physically, but also maybe you need to connect with yourself physically as well too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, super intimately. It can be, but the idea of like, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying beautiful things about yourself, looking at the parts of you that you might not like and just loving who you are and how you are, because at the end of the day, everybody has something that they don't like about themselves, but it's either you're going to embrace it and accept it, and if there's something you can do to change it, that's great. But if it's something where it's just like you're kind of quote unquote stuck with it or just have to deal with it, finding the beauty of it, it makes you unique, it makes you special. And then finally, we have the price of love. Are you willing to make an investment when it comes to love? Are you ready to pay the toll? Remember that love is not a destination, but a journey. And so I feel like what this card is saying, or what the cards are saying now in terms of like the next phase of your connection and your journey with this person, is that when they're asking you, are you willing to take this journey? Go on this journey. Are you willing to make the investment? Are you willing to pay the toll? Because it's not something like, oh, I just paid the toll and I'm there. It's like, no, the toll is what you pay to get to the next, street or the next road or the highway or expressway to get you where you're supposed to go. But it's not something that's just going to be, can be easy. It might take a longer time. But even then, the idea is that you're committed to this or you're not. And so knowing that you have to commit to yourself first more than anything in life. If you can't commit to yourself, then what else can you commit to, right? And so I feel like what they're saying here in terms of the next phase is that both of you are prioritizing yourselves and, working towards understanding everything that you need to learn from the lessons that you have gone through or, have learned, and also to applying them and making sure that, hey, when I see something that looks very similar to what I've gone through in the past, I know how to handle this now, right? Or am I going to go back down that rabbit hole and revert back to old ways? Or am I going to show the universe and show myself that, hey, I know how to handle this situation now. You can't trick me again. I got this. I'm going to pass this time because I know, right? And so this shows us that the next phase for you all includes a lot of intimacy, includes a lot of pleasure, so a lot of physical intimacy with one another, but also emotional intimacy, because you're able to connect with each other on a deeper level. And I feel that that's going to come with, it's maybe about 6 to 12 months of you all dating each other exclusively, really focusing on each other and dating each other. And then that leads to you all, whether it be getting engaged, getting married, however it is that you want to be with this person, because everybody doesn't want to be married. So the idea is there's more locked in time together and commitment, and then it leads to the last level of commitment that you both want for with each other. So if that's marriage, great. If that's just moving in together, that's what that is. It's basically that. Okay, so now let's get into your love notes from the person. So we have, it seems that I always let my fear of love take over. I think that was something, I don't know if it was your pile or somebody else's pile, but I mentioned how, you could be, it was this pile. You could be so locked in on your career, but then you're not putting yourself out there romantically. So it's kind of like somebody is learning how to do that now. We have, there are nights where I sit and think about you. I think about where we would have been had I been honest with you. So there might be some energy of regrets with the Polaroid memories, wondering if I would have just said this, if I would have just opened up, if I would have just expressed my feeling and didn't let my pride get in the way, maybe we would have been further down the road than where we are now. We have, fighting these demons and my troubled past is so hard. So there's definitely a lot of clearing out energy here with this pile, with this connection. Just working through a lot of things. And like I said, it's not always going to be easy, but it is worth the while. And it's got to be, are you willing to invest in clearing out that energy for yourself. You know, put that in that time and that energy for yourself too, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm perfect, the other person has to work on themselves. Like, no, everybody has something to work on. Everybody has something that they have to work through. So while that person's doing that, think about what you can be doing as well too, and better yourself as well, right? We have, you are the love of my life. I'm ready to spend the rest of my life with you. So this person's letting you know they see longevity with you. I know things aren't what we want them to be, but maybe it's for the best. So like, you know, there's distance between you two. It might be for the best right now, because you won't be able to hurt each other, right? You won't be able to, there won't be more distance between each other, because it's like, it's nothing like, you know, having access to a person but y'all are still disconnected, because then it hurts even more, because it's like, okay, I'm physically here with you but you're in another world and I'm in another world, so what's the purpose of us physically being together? Versus like, okay, there's distance between us and we haven't talked in a while, but we're working on stuff to make sure we're better individually, that when we do come back together, it's solid, it's better, and it's like we're back on track, onto a beat that works. And then finally we have, I feel like our souls were really meant for each other. So there's no doubt in their mind that I feel like this person is very aware this is a soulmate connection. May not aware the word like twin flame, but they could know it, but they know that this is definitely a soulmate, an intense soulmate, soulful connection for sure. But yeah, so very soon you're going to start to see progress in terms of just how the flow of this connection just moves, and just how the chemistry between you two is stronger and better, but it's also healthier, right? It's not just the physical, it's more so emotional, mental, everything in all ways. Okay, so I hope this resonated with those that picked this pile. As always, thank you so much for your love and your support. If you enjoyed the reading, feel free to thumbs up the video and check out other videos on my channel, and leave a comment below as well too. Alrighty, I wish you all the best.